And I believe we are live. It's my first time doing it this way, guys. If you're here, welcome to the 1-year anniversary stream. It has been 365 days since I first infected your life with that video you love or hate, exactly 1 year ago. And I'm just trying to pull the chat up here so I can communicate with you guys. Give me 1 second. If anybody's even in there right now, which I don't know if you are. Let's go ahead and take a look. Hopefully everyone's good here. Again, this is the 1-year anniversary stream. What we're going to do is, as we give you a little time to filter in, we're going to go over some news stories. We're going to have some people in, give me 1 second. We're going to have some interviews. We're going to have Grotto from the Cold Country podcast. We're going to have Falk to go over some new developments in the Maura Murray case, which a lot of people, not so much new developments, but they've kind of taken the spotlight lately. Most people into the community know what I'm talking about. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to... Just give me 1 second. I'm trying to pull... Okay, here we go. YouTube link. Try and pull it up so I can see your chat. All right, let me pull it up so I can see your chat. Whoa. Okay. Give me 1 second, everybody. Hello, Lufa. Hey, Grilled Cheese. Hey, Lauren. Looks like we got some people coming in. So like I said, we're going to do a few things here. We're going to go over some true crime news, some current happenings. This is going to be a new weekly series that I do. Since mostly I do documentary style stuff, I want to be able to do some current news stuff, which is what these lives will be. Plus, everyone's been asking for longer videos. It takes a really long time to make the short video, so I'd rather do it this way than have to edit a bunch of stuff. Okay, we get about 7 people right now. So again, we're going to be bringing on Falk to go over some of the developments in the Maura case. That'll be a little later in the show. But for now, I'm going to bring on my co-host of the Cold Country podcast, my buddy Grotto. So Grotto, come on in.
Hello.
What is up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. So let's remind the chat of some of the rules. Basically, you can say anything you want about me. I don't think Grotto minds that much either. We just ask that you respect the victims, or anyone in the case, the families, things like that. We're not big on booting people out or anything like that, unless you get disrespectful to the only people that really matter here, which is the victims of the crimes.
Yeah, I'm saying, hey, if you want to say that I look like a burnt chicken nugget, that's fine. It might not be your snack, but absolutely just respect the people in the cases.
I was literally just about to say that.
Yeah.
So what's up? What do we got for news? Why don't we start there? You can kind of go over some of the... You're going to shoot me over some links. We're going to pull it up so you guys can read along.
A little early, aren't you?
Well, as people are coming in, we can start to send over the links. We're already at 4 minutes.
Oh.
Give people a little time.
I'm buying time while I pick one.
Okay.
I've got a couple of different playing cards. I'm trying to see which one I want to shove at you first. How about I'll throw one there in the private chat for you.
What about we got Lori Vallow,
you want to
right?
talk about Lori first?
Yeah, let's do that first because that's kind of a big one.
Okay.
So for anyone,
that is quite a big one.
Yeah, and for anyone who's not aware, which most people probably are, remains were found at Chad Daybell's house a couple of weeks ago now. They have been identified as Tylee Ryan and her brother. What was his name? JJ. Sorry for not knowing offhand, but they have been found. They have been identified. Charges have been filed. So we're gonna pull up a link on that and take a look at that. We're kind of learning the process here, guys. This is my first time doing a live, so bear with me as we try to figure it all out. Hopefully we have a good time here. Also, as the stream goes on a little later, I wrote something for you guys, kind of like a thank you that kind of explains my whole YouTube story, how I started, how I ultimately failed in everything in life that led me here, and rose like a phoenix out of the ashes with help of these true crime stories. So it's been a heck of a journey. It has actually went much better than I thought it was going to. As I'm waiting for Grotto to send that over.
I've already sent it over. I sent it over before you started talking. Just gotta look in the right place for it, buddy.
Where is it? Because it's not.
It's in the private chat.
The one where like Lufa, grilled cheese, and all them are saying hello, right?
No, that's not the private
Oh,
chat.
private chat. Sorry, guys. Okay. Let me.
Got it right there for you.
All right. So what I'm going to do here, guys, is boom, bring you on like this. And then I'm going to, can you see what I'm typing here, guys? No, you can't.
Let's see. Yeah, you got to put it onto the screen share one and throw us both to the side of the screen.
Oh, share screen.
By the way, this view looks better, the punched in view. When it's the two of us, and we've got that background. It looks a lot better than punched in.
Okay, so we're loading here. We're going to go ahead and read a quick article on Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. Hopefully you guys can you see that good? But as good as you're going to.
If you need to, you can hold. Oh, actually, it looks good on my side.
Okay. So I'm going to avoid saying some words, guys. You can read them on the screen. I'm going to attempt to make this as family friendly as I can.
Advertiser friendly, honestly.
Yeah, for the sake of YouTube. They don't like you saying certain words like this M word right here that you can all see in the first. So I'll just say M word. Lori Vallow's daughter was allegedly M word by her biological father years before her doomsday-obsessed mom and stepdad were implicated in her disappearance and death. And her mother knew about the abuse, according to newly surfaced documents. The Law and Crime Network said it obtained court documents filed in 2008 during a custody battle between Vallow and her third husband, Joseph Ryan, detailing how a social worker reported that Ty Lee Ryan, then 5, had told her about the alleged abuse. Want to hear something crazy? My cousin is named Tyler Ryan. So it's kind of freaky for me to read that same thing, but with an R instead of an E, and he's a male. The therapist informed us that Ty Lee reported being happy about the visits with her dad and wanting those visits to continue during their last session, states the document filed July 15, 2008 in the Travis County, Texas court. If you're just joining us now, it's a little bit of old news last couple of weeks, but remains a couple of weeks ago were found in Chad Daybell's, I believe it was a fire pit. They have been identified as Ty Lee and JJ. But the therapist then reported that Ty Lee added something along the lines of, "I am scared about overnights." So when the therapist questioned her about this, she said something like, "Because Joe M-word me and Colby," referring to her older brother, Colby Ryan. The filing states that Vallow came in toward the end of the July 1st therapy session and that Ty Lee, quote, looked at her mother and said, "I told her." This is a little long, but okay. Said, "I told her." It's unclear if these claims were investigated further by authorities. During an appearance on Dateline in May, Colby, Vallow's oldest son, also said that he had been abused by his stepfather. He went out of his way to make a point. He would spank me and just did weird things like little hits on the head, thought it was funny. He then paused before adding, he was S-word abusive as well. Colby said he had confided in his mother about the abuse and that she had been devastated. Unfortunately, not the kind of mother that you want to confide in, as we're learning. Probably responsible for more deaths allegedly other than the kids. So we're dealing with a nightmare here, guys.
It's a safe bet.
Yeah. Are you familiar with this case?
Oh, I've been following Lore. You know, the reason I actually got my door just randomly opened. The reason I actually got into this case is because it reminded me so much of the Jennifer and Sarah Hart case, where the two wives drove their 6 children off of a cliff. Just a pattern of abuse. Child services had gotten involved. No one ever did anything until it got too late. And we're finding out that there was a systematic, pattern of abuse throughout these 2 children's lives as well. And apparently no one stepped in. So I've been following it pretty much for that reason. Plus it's only a couple hours from me, one
These
day
to me,
there.
Sorry to interrupt you. These to me are really the sickest cases when not only did like friends and family, or up to 18 people. So, hey guys, welcome to the chat, to the live stream. 1 year anniversary here. These are the cases that really sick of me, when not only did a lot of people in the personal life know, but they reported it to the correct authorities and still nothing was done. That absolutely drives me crazy. And I've done quite a lot of videos on it recently. But it's one thing for someone just disappears. It's like, what are you going to do if you don't find out? But when everyone knows everything going on, you got a child crying out for help and nobody does anything. Absolutely drives me nuts. Drives me nuts. Real quick, moving on from Laurie for a few minutes. Are you familiar with the? Do you listen to rap at all, Grotto? Rap music?
Oh, you're telling me about that. The arrests, was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Or 2 days ago?
Yeah. Anyone into New York kind of underground rap music, although he was starting to get big, making songs with 50 Cent, Nicki Minaj. 50, I guess, was kind of mentoring him. He was killed, gunned down. He survived a hellish life in gang life in New York, moved out to the Hollywood Hills, nice, rich house. He had posted on, I believe it was Instagram, the address. A few hours later, a bunch of people broke in. They think it might have been an attempted robbery, but either way, he was shot dead. 5 people were arrested just a couple days ago. So I'm actually seeing a lot of people just reporting it today, but it was 2 or 3 days ago that Pop Smoke Kills arrested. There were 3 adults and 2 children, I understand.
Arrested 2 children?
Youths, let's say. So under 18. Yeah.
So a bunch of they're probably all around 20 years old, I bet. 20, 19, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Well, he was early 20s.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The people who jumped him.
It's gang stuff, and it's kind of crazy to imagine surviving a life like that. And you move out, probably spent his whole life thinking, man, if I could just get to Hollywood and change my life. And then that's where he ends up getting killed.
Just a bunch of dumb kids.
Really crazy. Let's go over one more. Then I kind of want to read a thank you for you guys that I wrote. I was going to kind of just freestyle off the top of my head, but I figured I'd write something for you. It'll only take a couple minutes. When we're done with that, we're going to bring on Falk to kind of go over some of the Maura Murray stuff and talk about some of the things going on in the community there. But what else do we got before I read my little thank you?
Well, I've got actually pretty
Sorry, some people hate when I smoke. It's a habit. I get nervous on camera. I know I look so cool, but I'm actually nervous.
So while you're doing the little Puff the Magic Dragon thing, I'll send you this link and I'll actually explain the story to you.
Yeah, well, explain it to them.
I'll explain it.
Assume they don't know anything.
I'm gonna explain it to everyone, but it's like I'm talking to a friend. You're the friend on camera. They're the friends on the chat. So
exactly,
I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it.
Give us the rundown, baby.
Great. I've got the link there to you. As you're bringing it up, I'll just kind of break it down. 2 awesome guys decided that they wanted to be famous on TikTok, so they spent a day hollowing out watermelons to use as face masks and to go into stores.
I already love it. Yeah,
they cut eyes out of it, and they put up cool TikToks of them going around town in their black truck, going grocery shopping and stuff like that. Weirdly enough, coincidentally, 2 guys in masks made out of watermelons were shoplifting alcohol, and so the cops were able to use their TikToks to actually find out A, who it was, and B, when they did it, and so they used the TikTok videos to track down these famous thieves. So that was just kind of, for me, that was just kind of a one of those funny 15 seconds of fame will put you in jail for 15 months.
Yeah, and now they're like the watermelon head kids for the rest of their life. They could have just taken them off, pour the liquor, and drink it out of there. Don't people do that?
Weirdly enough, they're getting tried for not wearing masks in public. Oh no, for wearing a mask in public. For wearing a mask in public. So they're supposed to wear masks, right? Because they had full masks, they're getting charged for that too.
Okay. I like it. I like it a lot.
So I'm just saying, have we ever talked about Jody LaCornu?
This is the same case? You're talking about a different one?
No, I just said somebody, meaning someone in chat for you.
Oh, sorry. Hey, what's up, Michael? How you doing, brother? Jill, how are you?
I'm looking around.
Have you ever talked about Jody LaCornu? No, I'm not familiar with that, but I will take a look at it. I've been really increasing my output, guys, videos I've been putting out. So any cases that you would like for me to make a video on, send them on over, because I'm actively looking for stuff. I don't care about the time, how old it is, anything like that. What I really care about is that it has some kind of hook. Every case, someone gets killed, things like that. So, and I will cover those as well. But the ones, I really like the ones that have something kind of unique about them, something interesting. So if you have any stories like that, send them over. We'll get some videos made on them. Take a quick break here, and I want to read something for you guys. It's just kind of a thank you thing I wrote. The channel has really been doing well. What's that?
Go ahead and take me and the screen share off, so it's just you on screen.
You mean just the screen share on screen?
Oh,
I'm gonna read this.
Well, it just switched over for me on the screen, so I just saw it come up.
Yeah, I think
No way.
my voice is ahead of the screen.
All right, we'll pull me off so you can so it can just be you and that.
Oh, all right. Hang on one second.
Backstage, folks. Bye.
Like that, right? Give it a minute. I just did it. Okay, so I wish I could make that one bigger. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, guys, let me read this little note for you real quick. It's a thank you. Before I begin, when I first started this channel, I had, well, I'll kind of get into the story, but once I decided I was going to get going with it, I had a 3-year plan. And my goals were 1,000 subscribers the first year, 5,000 the second year, 25,000 after that. The reason I care about the subscribers is I have an ultimate goal with this channel. And what that is I want to eventually make this to where I can cover smaller cases that nobody knows about. So if you say, hey, I get people that message me and they say, hey, my cousin's missing. Can you put something up, something like that? That's what I ultimately want to do with this. To this date, I have only actually covered larger cases. The reason for that is I can't help these smaller cases until I'm big enough to get it out to more people. You know, if I make a video, say, hey, I'll help you out, and 3 people watch it. I mean, who's that really helping? So that's the ultimate goal of the channel, is to go ahead and do that. So let me read this real quick. So whenever I think about the fact that the channel has grown to the size it has, with over 3,000 subscribers and nearing 250,000 views, it really blows my mind. I never intended for this to be a true crime channel, or a channel at all, really. I simply wanted to tell a couple funny stories of when I worked in Hollywood. Anyone who was around in those days will remember those videos. If anyone cared to, I'd use them to help push my books, which are far from true crime, by the way. They're coming of age stories with a romantic element, pretty much as far from true crime as you can get. But I had been having a tough go of it after leaving a lucrative career in California that had, financially speaking, become a tragic choice. There's a saying, shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you're still amongst the stars. This had kind of been the motto I lived by for years as I pursued my dream as a writer. I wrote screenplays, which are movie scripts, if you don't know. I wrote books, I wrote and recorded music, and I knew it was a bit of a pipe dream, so I worked hard to nestle myself into a nice, lucrative backup career as a telecommunications salesman. That fire of creativity burned inside of me, but if I was never going to get to satisfy it on a career level, I was damn sure going to be making good money, whatever I was doing. But as the lights of Hollywood faded from my disillusioned eyes, there was one thing I never counted on: becoming absolutely miserable at the job. The backup plan of just making good money at whatever cost had succeeded. I was making 6 figures, low 6 figures, but 6 figures nonetheless. And I couldn't have been more miserable. Spent years longer than I should have at that sales job, terrified of the implications of what leaving it might be. It led to depression. It led to severe anxiety. Finally, I quit. I had to save my health, save my sanity. But then the depression really set in. Now I was not just unhappy, I was an unhappy failure. This lasted longer than I'd like to admit. I was no longer dealing with just creative failure, I was an overall failure. I tried to turn something into nothing. Maybe I could at least help others by telling my story on YouTube so they wouldn't fall into the same trap I had chasing their dreams in the horrible town of Hollywood. But again, more failure. Nobody cared. Nobody but close friends who already knew my story even watched the videos. It was like a downward spiral that only got worse. So one day at my minimum wage, benefitless security job, I grabbed my cell phone out of pure boredom and started talking into it about a case I was really interested in. I had fallen in and out of obsession with this case over the past few years, so maybe others are into it as well. It was the Maura Murray case. There was one lesson I had learned from all my previous missteps that I knew I had to avoid in order for anyone to take notice. A lesson taught from everyone from Jesus Christ himself to WWE superstars, and that's never be boring, never be lukewarm. Pick a side and stick to it. So I came on strong in the video, saying who I thought was most likely responsible for Maura's disappearance. Then something extraordinary finally happened. People cared. Many hated the video, many loved it, but the point is they watched, they listened, they had their own opinions and theories, and soon they were commenting under it, discussing it with myself and each other. People messaged me on Facebook hoping to privately share with me what they thought of both the case and my theory alike. Soon I had started feeling like I could actually help the investigation, so I dug in even deeper, making videos almost daily. And that leads us to today. We're at over 100 videos and going strong. And I can't thank you guys enough for being part of the channel. So thank you so much. And here's to another year of growth. That's my little thank you to you guys. Heartfelt thank you. Because things are going really well here. Let's bring Grotto back on. And thank you to Mr. Blue Wrench for the $5 super check. Congrats on 1 year, bud. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I did the same at the 30 years. You guys talking about being at a miserable job, I'm guessing. Yeah, it was a really toxic environment. I don't know if I should say the name. It was a telecommunications company. I was number 2 salesman in the top region in the country. So whether or not that makes me number 2 salesman in the country, I don't know, but I was probably pretty close. I won trips to Mexico, Bahamas. I won TVs, PlayStations, Wii's, all kinds of stuff. It was just coming. Money prizes, gift cards. I just was miserable. I loved it for like the first 3 years. I was there, I think like 6.5 years. I became very miserable. It's never good to stay in a job that you absolutely hate. Hey, what's up, Mark? I messaged you. I was actually, hang on one sec, guys. Mark, depending on how this goes, I was messaging you trying to see if you wanted to do your interview at the end of this. We're going to bring on Falk to talk about some Maura Murray developments in a bit. But I was going to bring you on after that, but I haven't really had time to really look over your case. So I don't know. Maybe we'll do it another time. But okay, let's bring on Grotto back on. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to bring on Falk, who I hope he's still here because it looks different now. We're going to talk about some Maura Murray developments in the case. See if we can. And he's gone.
No, he's there. He just doesn't have his camera on.
Falk, you got to have your camera on, brother.
Oh, it's not on?
Oh, okay. At least we can hear you. No, we can't see you, though.
I'll try to put it on.
Okay. I mean, at least as long as we have the voice.
Yeah, just
the voice is fine.
I'll do it while you're talking.
Okay. So I'm admittedly not as caught up as you on a lot of the Maura stuff because I've been doing a lot of stories on my channel. Sometimes the details bleed into each other, so I like to make sure I don't make a mistake. So what I wanted to talk about is this isn't so much a new development. Anyone who follows the case kind of knows this already. But there was a party, and Maura had apparently met a few guys and maybe even hooked up with one. So this has been brought up quite a bit lately. One thing I've been seeing, though, is people say, aha, this shows that Billy Rausch was probably, in a fit of rage. But my understanding about this, correct me if I'm wrong, is the way that this voicemail was heard is that Maura had a phone plan, her and Billy, under Sharon Rausch, who's Billy's mother, and that the voicemail was so that when she went missing, Sharon called, changed the PIN to the voicemail to access it in an attempt to help find her. And that's when they heard the message, which was after Maura went missing. I don't know if I have that right, but I would like for you to kind of take over and explain it. And but if that's the case, then I don't understand why everybody is kind of going on about, maybe that's why she left her phone there when she left to bring her father's car home, and all these theories about he was in a fit of rage and went up. Wouldn't he have heard it at some point, at least a couple days or something after?
Yes, we don't know exactly when Sharon had the pin. You stated it accurately, that Sharon set up the plan that Maura was on and that Bill was on. Maura got a phone, I think it was for Christmas, just prior to when she disappeared. And so she had it for a relatively short period of time. Sharon had the PIN changed after Maura went missing so that she could listen to the messages, and they thought maybe that there would be, depending on what the messages were, it could help to figure it could help them to figure out where she might have gone, what her plan might have been. So at the earliest, and we don't have an exact date, that would mean that Sharon heard the message on February 11th, which would be 2 days after Maura went missing.
Right.
I think the reason why I wanted to talk about this particular issue to begin with too is I want to say up front that Fred Murray wants to talk to these young men, the three of them.
Okay.
He doesn't know who they are. And there's been some confusion about that. About
Yes,
whether
there
or not
has.
he knows
I
who
was
they
just
are.
reading that today. Some people saying that, like Aaron Larkin has said, no, we know who they are, and others saying, no, I wasn't sure.
No, Aaron Larkin. Okay, so Aaron Larkin did an interview with Fred Murray.
Yeah.
And in the transcript of the interview, I'm actually going to put the link to it in the chat right now for people who want to look at it.
Okay.
In the transcript of the interview, there it is. Fred said that he does not know who these men are. That one of them is Sarah. I hope I'm saying it right. Sarah Alfieri.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I believe that's right.
Her cousin. But that they didn't know the names of any of them or who any of them are. Now, during the recent crawl space, which included Tim and Lance and Maggie,
Mm-hmm.
There was a bit of confusion. I'm not trying to blame anyone in particular, but I could tell that Julie in the chat wanted to emphasize the fact, number one, that Fred does not know who these men are, that he wants to talk to them, and secondly, that all tips about these men, if anyone knows who they are, should go to MauraMurrayMissing.org.
Right.
They should go to the family. I mean, we all want to know.
In the police.
Like we all want information. We all want to know what was going on here. But the most important thing is, Fred Murray. I'm bad at math, but I know he was born in 1942. So he's that would make him about 78. He's getting older, and getting answers and getting
6, right?
information gives him peace of mind, and it helps to give him some degree of closure. And we can't really, as people can fight in this community, but the one thing that people can't lose sight of is that this is a family that lost their daughter, and that the most important thing is that they get the closure they need, that they get the support of all of us, and we should never lose sight of that. I mean, it would be better to get mad at me or to get mad at Tim and Lance or Aaron or James Runner, but Fred Murray and the family deserves support.
Right. Yeah, that's an important note, because you see a lot of people apparently not keeping that in mind when they speak of the family. I've done a couple things that they weren't like 1,000% happy about, but when I spoke to them, it was always they knew I at least had the right intentions. One of them being one of the interviews you did with me, of course. But even that conversation ended with Julie telling me, "Hey, I do appreciate that you're helping out. We all need to come together and find Maura." And it was a good conversation. She just let me know the things that she wasn't happy with, so that I wouldn't do them further. And by all means, it was great. And I just lost Grotto too. Did you turn your thing off, Grotto?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm fixing something.
Okay,
I can see Grotto. Oh no, I can't. It's probably because of a delay.
So as far as this new theory, Falk, tell me some. Well, not so much a theory, but just the new information everyone's kind of talking about with the guys and everything. Like I said, some people have the theory that this looks worse for Billy because he could have been a jealous rage, but we're kind of questioning if that's the case. What are the things that you've been hearing in the community that you either agree or don't agree with in relation to this? Well, basically, I'm asking you what's new, what's popping up as a result of this, because I've seen a lot of people talking about a lot of things. So what's your take on all this?
Honestly, I think that a lot of confusion, really, more than anything, has popped up, because a lot of people,
same old song and dance, a lot of confusion. Keep going.
Yeah, a lot of people weren't sure. I mean, first of all, the original blog post that first provided a glimpse of this information was later changed, but that first blog post said that Bill had listened to the message before Maura went missing, or on the day that she went missing. But it was definitely
that's what I had originally heard.
And so my initial thought was that the information was supposed to it was intended to show a motive that Bill would have to kill Maura, to support a theory that Bill killed Maura. If Bill had heard the message, which, by the way, it's not entirely clear based on the content of the messages reported, whether that would mean that Maura had cheated on Bill or not. And the content of the message was that Kate,
like what happened with that guy or something like that.
Yeah. What happened with that guy the other night? Exactly. So, I mean, basically, Kate is seeking to understand what happened. And here's my thinking on this too. That night, it's kind of odd how Maura left the party. Maura left the party very abruptly. She told Kate that she needed to go return Fred's car at his hotel.
Which wasn't true. She had a lot more time, right?
Yeah, Kate says in, I believe it was originally the 17 magazine article, but then it was in the Mary Beth Conway article, that Kate said that she found it odd because she was with Fred and Maura when Maura supposedly had permission and was supposed to return the car the next day. So for Maura to be off somewhere with one of the three guys, and then it seems that she comes back and then makes up an excuse to leave. She says, I have to return my father's car, which Kate knows is not true. Maura then leaves her cell phone there at Sarah's dorm, gets into her father's car, and basically I think it's a mile off campus. I mean, she was just leaving campus when she crashed her father's car into a barrier. I mean, it wasn't even, she just drove straight into a barrier. So to me, it
wasn't like some almost accident. She hits it. It's just kind of odd. She just boom right into it, right? As far as we know.
Yeah, all of her conduct was really odd, leaving the part.
Which is why some people, no, I didn't say anything. Which is why some people believe that it was, she might have been drinking or something, right? But there was no DUI or anything, of course.
There was no DUI, but even if she had been drinking, that doesn't really explain her conduct in my mind. I mean, if she had been drinking, I don't see how that would make her make up an excuse to leave. If anything, she'd want to stay there longer. She didn't have to go anywhere. She didn't have to return the car until the next day. For her to all of a sudden say that she needs to leave, make up an excuse to leave, it is odd to me. So I guess I just don't really know the context of why Kate was saying what happened with that guy the other night. I mean, part of it could be Kate could have thought the whole thing was weird. Maura's gone. All that happened. She's like, what happened with that guy? You understand what I mean? It's not necessarily like saying.
Yeah, it could mean you hooked up with him, or he was being aggressive with you, or anything really, right?
Yeah, it could mean like that. She's like, so what happened with that guy? Like, did you hook up? Or it could mean what happened with that guy that made you act so strangely and leave and crash your father's car. I mean, it's ambiguous,
right?
But if it did mean, or if it was taken by Bill to mean that Maura had cheated on Bill, and Bill had heard it before Maura went missing, or on the day that she went missing, then that would give him a motive, in theory, to kill her. And so that is why I think the information was first put out there, was to give Bill a solid motive to kill Maura.
And to be clear, so Bill is like the sexy pick. Like, I wish that he didn't have an alibi, because I feel like this would be easy to solve.
Did you say sexy pick?
He's like the sexy pick, like
the sexy pick.
Yeah, like as far as the boyfriend, the jilted lover. That's a sexy story. Not that he's.
I'm just like he's a sexy
so wait,
pick.
So Butch is not the sexy pick?
No.
Did you just said the word butch and sexy pick in the same sentence? I'm not sure I'll ever get to hear that again.
I would say Billy's the sexier pick. So it's like when I made the Butch video, since you mentioned him, I actually said in it, or at least one of the first few, whoever took Maura is either named Butch or Bill. That's what I thought back then. I don't even know if I know what I think right now, but what I do seem to know is it seems he has like as ironclad of an alibi as you possibly can. I mean, he would have had to escape, drive 1,000 miles, drive back. I mean, it's always possible. And there actually have been cases where people went and drove. So by all means, don't close any theories. But it seems like I feel like a lot of people pick Bill because they watch Investigation Discovery a lot and realize that the numbers show that that's common. And as a caveat, I actually said that as one of my reasons for Butch. I when I made the video, I had said, statistics show, but last person who sees somebody. So I get it, but I don't know. What's your take on Bill?
What's my take on Bill?
Yeah, on Bill in general and in relation to what's going on.
And I've been saying this for quite a while, long before Bill joined the discussion, but I think he's a really terrible suspect in this case.
Because of it,
and the reason
alibi.
is because he had a solid alibi. I mean, really, when you think about it, and I'm not a huge fan of just saying that it's a local dirtbag, like the way that Fred has said, a local dirtbag grabbed her. I think it could, since I like the red truck theory, or at least that's something I consider. I'm not sure that we should focus strictly on locals, but it could be anybody who would have been in the area. But I think that the first thing we should look at when considering whether somebody is a good suspect is whether they had the opportunity to commit the crime.
Right. Well, that's opportunity, motive. They always go by those two. Exactly.
Right. I was actually taught earlier today in Reddit, the Prosecutors Podcast.
I like them. They're new, right?
They're new.
I like them.
They joined Reddit, but we were kind of discussing that too. Means, motive, and opportunity in regards to Bill. And we both seem to agree that the opportunity has not been established. I mean, people have to go to great lengths to try to show him having the opportunity to kill Maura.
Right. He has to basically be like MacGyver.
Well, so I actually forget if we talked about this on here or prior, but the theory basically is, and stop me if we talked about this.
Real quick, thank you so much to Cold Country Podcast. Thanks, brother, for donating the $2 super chat. All right, sorry, I want to mention people as they do it so that they know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The theory is that he basically found Maura after he arrived in New Hampshire on the 11th. Somehow he found her, and he borrowed his parents' rental or stole his parents' rental, found her, killed her, disposed of her body, and rejoined everybody as if nothing had happened. It's just kind of an absurd theory when you think of when you actually think of the details or what would have had to have happened. It doesn't make any sense.
In a case that's already has such low odds of a lot of theories, it seems like that triples the odds that would need to happen as far as just random weird things that would have come together for this to happen. That theory. Yeah.
It would be quite the thing if it actually happened. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but the odds of that happening just seem so extraordinarily remote that I really don't see a reason to consider it.
I'm sorry.
No, go on. Sorry.
Has this recent, developments, air quotes, affected any of your thought processes, any of your theories that you think happened, or are we just kind of in a circle and right back where we started with this?
I mean, I guess the only thing about this that is somewhat new, because we already knew about the three men, and there have been rumors that maybe Maura had hooked up with one of the three men, but I do think that the message, I tend to believe that the message was what it's reported to be, that Kate had left a message saying that, what happened between you and that guy. And I do think that it has one of those two meanings. I think it either means that Maura cheated on Bill, or it means that, Kate thought something weird had gone on. And maybe, something that could have caused Maura to act the way that she did. He was either being creepy or assaulted her. I mean, I don't know, but a theory along those lines. Either way, though, whether Maura had cheated on Bill or whether it possibly gave Maura, like whatever had gone on, gave Maura more reason to be in the bad state she was in. I think that's the effect of this information. I think it shows that something else had happened that potentially gave her a motive to want to leave. And I even think about the fact that she packed up her dorm. Maybe she didn't want to be in her dorm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really sure the implications, but I do think that's where this information would go.
Okay.
And I'd like, again, the family, Maura's family should get any information that comes in, but I have tried to figure out who Sarah's cousin is. I've tried to figure that out in the past. I think I do have it narrowed down. I'm not going to say his name, but I sent Julie a PDF that basically showed my thought process and why.
I wish I knew a guy that had the guts to up and call him if we find out who he is. Do you know of any guys like that?
No. Oh, did you?
No, I'm saying I will. If we
yeah,
did.
no, you should.
If only we knew a guy.
If only we knew a guy.
No, you really should. Because again, pass on any information to Maura's family. But yeah, having an interview, being able to figure out who the other two were.
Real quick, thank you, Golden Slots, $5 donation. Congratulations, 1 year. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
It would be definitely something that people would value in the community.
For sure. I would like to do that. Dealt with a little friction back when I was doing that. Got kicked out of a couple groups. Apparently, I scared some people. I don't think I'm that scary of a guy. But
wait, you scared people?
The eye contact, wasn't it? Yeah. It was that eye contact.
It was the eye contact.
You scared people for why? How'd you scare people?
I got kicked out of a group. It wasn't fully explained to me. It was just basically said people are nervous because I'm just like essentially like willy-nilly calling around or something like that. And they were scared I was going to call them. My response was, are they a suspect in the case? Huh?
Hey, you called me before.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
What?
But basically, like, it's like I don't just like look for names on Facebook to call and be like, hey, do you happen to know anything about the Maura Murray case? Like, if I'm calling you, you're a suspect that the public already knows about. What'd you say?
He just pulls out a phone book. Who am I calling today?
Right. You know,
it is you, Veronica.
I think that might have been one of the people's names.
I don't doubt it.
Well, I mean, not just suspects. So, like, you called a police officer. You called Lavoie. Lavoie wasn't a suspect. I mean, basically, you're calling people who are relevant that have
relevant to the case. Exactly.
So the people were worried you'd call them and they kicked you out of the group.
Kind of like they wouldn't explain it to me. I felt like they were scared I'd find out who it was that was making. That was, you know, I feel like whoever had came to them and said like, hey, I'm nervous. I don't want them calling me or whatever they said. Like,
Uh-oh.
That's my video. Okay. I'm the last person. If I ever was to call someone and they said, hey, you know, jerk, don't call me, hang up. I'd hang right. I'm not here to bother people. I call people and the first thing I tell them is it's being recorded and ask them some info. But believe me, I don't try to force people to talk. With Rebecca Forcier, I was a little like, I don't know if I want to say pushy, persistent. Let's say I wasn't pushy. And she never said like, I'm going to hang up. And I said, no. I just, you know, she basically just keeps saying, I don't want this put out. And I just kept saying, well, have you considered this? Have you considered that? But I'm not here to bother anybody by any means. I don't know. That's how I feel anyways, but I guess we all think that about ourselves, right? I guess I annoyed some people. So, but I've backed off quite a bit in the case anyways, but if we could find out exactly who this is, I would have no problem calling him.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that the person who I think is the best candidate, I can certainly pass that information on to you. Okay. You know, again, it's not something that I would want to post or to say in a public forum because people, his name shouldn't be dragged through the mud. First of all, we don't know even if it is, you know, the cousin. We don't even technically we don't know if it was Sarah's cousin at all. I mean, there are some theories. I know Erin has said it, and Finn has said it that there are people who might be referred to as cousins who aren't technically cousins.
Right. A lot of people do that, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
This is my cousin because I grew up with him.
cousin
This is
cousins.
my cuz.
Right.
Do you, Jason?
I don't, but I have a million friends who do that. You
Yeah.
know? One of my best friends they're Eritrean, which is right next to Ethiopia. They're from here, but that's their nationality. And basically they do it, and they basically tell me, oh yeah, the Eritrean community is small. Everyone who is also Eritrean that you know well is your cousin in this community. So,
It's that small.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is in I'm half of my family's from Guam. Pretty much everyone is related in Guam. I mean,
is that right?
It's about the size of it's smaller than the island of Oahu. It's a lot smaller than that.
And you Roy.
Sarah's Italian. I don't know if that's an Italian thing, really. I mean, my family is Italian. I think they just call it.
The whole extended family concept is like Greece and Italian, so that makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, I've never heard of anyone being called a cousin in the Italian side of my family that isn't really a cousin, but I guess in theory it could happen. So it could be like a second cousin, or could be an extended cousin. I think that's more plausible. But again, there is a candidate that I think could be the cousin. So the way that I think that it should go down is that particular candidate should be ruled out first. And if that candidate is ruled out, then we could consider whether maybe it was a second cousin or a friend or.
So you're still vetting people, is what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's one candidate really that's a real cousin that's a good match, but
we'll definitely look into that.
One odd thing though is, I shouldn't. I don't want to say where the cousin's from, but I'll just say that the cousin is not from Boston.
I'll tell you that I saw people talking on Facebook today, and I saw some initials dropped as to, I guess, who this person said. Like, if you mean blank blank, and then they said something else. But do other people seem to know who this cousin is? Because it seems like there's at least a name out there.
I mean, I've posted the initials CW.
That's the initials I'm talking about. But it wasn't you that posted the one I saw. But.
Well, no, I didn't post anything on Facebook, but I'm sure that people read Reddit and they could have repeated it. But yeah, CW is the candidate. But I'm not going to say where he's from either, but he's not from Boston. And one thing that Maggie said during the crawl space was that her understanding was that whoever hooked up with Maura, which may have been the cousin or may have been a friend of the cousin, two or three of them there, was from Boston, which kind of makes me wonder whether, I mean, it's possible CW had a friend from Boston.
Was CW ever in Boston? He's not from there now, or he's never lived here and just visited or something?
He lived in one state for most of his life that wasn't Massachusetts, and then moved to another state, also not Mass. I mean, I don't want to say where he's from because I don't,
Right. No, I understand.
He lived in a state near Massachusetts and then moved south, basically. And there's no tie that I can find.
Well, send me that information. And I can, if you want, you can include your phone number and I'll call you, or we can just, talk on some kind of messenger or whatever, and we'll go over it. And I don't know if I can get someone to talk. That might know something. I'm always willing to try to help. And that's what it is I'm trying to help. So anybody who feels threatened by me in any way, do not. I bring peace. I'm not here to. The only one that should feel threatened is if there's someone out there thinking, boy, I hope no one finds out that I did this crime. Then you should feel threatened because I'm coming for you.
I hope
I don't mean physically. Thank you.
So just eye contact.
Eye contact?
Just eye contact.
Yeah, just eye contact.
I mean, unless it's Butch, though, because you're not going to catch Butch.
Yeah, well, in this case, there's a few people in that category. People that have passed, You got
sadly.
McKay, and so if it is one of them, who knows if it'll ever be solved.
Do you like McKay as a suspect too?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know these my top, but of the police, a lot of people kind of rate him low. I kind of rate him high on the list of police. And if you watch my video on Bruce McKay, there's a lot of stuff that it's kind of odd. Now, it could just be that he was a shady dude, allegedly. But it's, from a minute after she crashes, this guy changes his plans and goes dark. And we do know he sure had a thing for traffic infractions. So I don't know.
But he wouldn't have known that it was a woman who crashed.
No,
right?
I didn't say anything about it. No, I don't think so. I've seen, actually, that's what the prosecutor's podcast that you mentioned earlier, they had said that. He wouldn't have known it was a woman. And fair enough. Maybe he didn't. I don't know if he did or not. But my response, actually, I responded in the comments was, yeah, but a lot of people just kind of feel this guy wrote, I think it was over 300 tickets in the same year span. His partners wrote 30 combined, his two partners. So he did 10 times both of them combined. So my take would be like, maybe this guy, I don't know, maybe they said over the, maybe he heard it and was just like, forget this other case. I'm sick of people coming up here and crashing. I don't know. But he didn't like traffic accidents. There's a video of him spraying a girl about Maura's age with mace on YouTube. So we know he can get extremely aggressive with young women drivers that have committed traffic infractions.
That's the theory that I often hear. And that's why I think it's somewhat relevant that I don't think he would have known that Maura was a young woman. I mean, if he had heard...
Yeah, but he also harassed Lico Kenny, so we know he's willing to do that to men, too. It might not
That's a good point.
Be a gender thing,
Yeah, maybe he didn't discriminate and just harassed,
Just a power thing.
Yeah, power thing. And it could also be like, it's mainly a power thing, but, if this is a woman, even better. I mean, who knows?
Opportunity kind of, yeah.
So let's say it's him. What happens after he gets to the scene? He abducts and kills, and like Smith.
Well, we know, doesn't Faith Westman had talked about there being a car pulling up right as she was hanging up, right? There's a lot of talk about that of someone possibly being there. So the question is, who the heck is that? Is it him? Is it Cecil that came earlier? Is it, what's his name? JW there. I mean, who knows? But what we do know is it was originally thought that he had went dark for 2 hours. It ended up being about 3.5. And the records are wiped. They're wiped. The official police records. Right when they make calls out to people. If they know where you are, they don't send a call out. So, Officer Falk is at 15 Johnson Street, handling a situation. So when we do our call outs, we don't send any to Officer Falk because we know where he is. So you can tell by whoever they're calling out that they don't know where he is. And you're talking about like many different departments records here that kind of come together. So they for about an hour and a half, they're saying as if they know where he is. Then something comes out where they say, we actually don't have him tracked, but he's over near some hotel. I'm trying to make sure I get the details right. He's over near some hotel and we don't know what he's doing over there. As soon as that happens, he goes dark until the records go dark. He goes dark, the records go dark, and his shift finished at 11 p.m. At least it should have. The records go back on at 11:03.
Where, just to be clear, because I mean, I've heard a lot of these things, but like, as much as I've looked into Maura's case, I've never really looked into this particular theory.
I got a video on it that explains everything. And when I do my videos, I get a bunch of, I talk to people, get a bunch of infos, write it all down, script it, put it out. And then I do so much stuff that the details become foggy. So I have to like reference myself or other people a lot. So I'm hesitant to get too into detail here. But I did a video on Bruce McKay and it says, is it Bruce in the thumbnail? So it'll go over all the little details. And another thing that really, we'll talk about more for a little bit more. Then I want to go into, some more news stories and stuff. And then we'll kind of finish up because I want to make sure I get a little bit for everyone here. We don't have Grotto sitting off crying over there. Nothing to do.
in.
No, he's here. He's here.
Yeah.
He just doesn't know. He's not. This isn't the case. He follows too much.
Why not?
I'm just the whole time I'm just sitting back thinking I could overlay both of you over like news anchors for this season of the NFL, and it would just be like you guys are talking about prospects for the draft the whole time. Oh, what's your pick? Are you team blah? Are you? And I'm just like, man, it's like watching ESPN for crime.
Well, here's what I want to do. To me, this could be a key to the case. Is Cecil says on? Oh, there you are. All right, let's bring us on. Cecil comes and I thought you would just decided not to show yourself. Cecil comes.
I was having problems with the camera.
Okay. Cecil comes and says ADV partner or partner ADV. Basically looks like he's saying partner advice. They're asking him what happened with the girl. Is she at the hospital? And he basically looks like he says, I've, something about his partner and he will advise. So who is this partner and what did they do? What did they have to do? Did he know Bruce from, just being cops in the area, knowing each other? Is he talking about someone else? If it is them, what involvement did they have that they were advised in this? That's my question. That's one of my the things I want to look into. Who is this partner he's referencing there? And I have a few people that I could think to call to, get it done.
I think it was Byron Charles.
I think it might be too, but do we know that?
No, we don't know it for a fact. And that's why my suggestion to you would be to contact Byron Charles.
Mm-hmm.
And because he had worked on the case, he did the following day, I believe.
Okay.
Was when he did the search warrant on the trunk. And so it would make sense for him to be referred to as the partner. Because I can't think of, do you think maybe it was Bruce McKay?
I have no idea, honestly. I mean, probably not, because that wasn't his partner. They weren't even in the same thing, but I just don't know. Apparently, he was the only one that got there. So what did this person have to do with it all? Cecil, right. or is there alone? What is he advising? Did he just radio a partner and say, hey, I'm busy doing this, or something? But if that's the case, why does he even have to reference them in this radio transmission? You know what I mean?
Oh, the camera stopped again. I apologize.
It could be overheating is what it is. But so the dying atheist that super cops like firefighters are sometimes hiding in plain sight.
Yeah. And this guy very much was that, from what we know about him. He was a hard,
He's a tough love cop.
Tough love is,
That's what they call it.
Putting it mildly, yeah.
No, that's their words. That's what they call themselves. Oh, tough love in the streets. But 10 times the parking tickets of his other,
of his two partners combined.
Oh, two partners. So it was only two.
Wow.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that? Like, was there some kind of reward program at the end of the year? Did he go to Disneyland?
I know exactly. And listen, so this is how the story ends, because I know you're not super familiar with it. So there's a guy named Lico Kenny who had a lot of run-ins with Bruce McKay. Lico Kenny filed, I think, a restraining order or something along those lines against McKay. And McKay was told by his supervisor that if he is to pull over Lico Kenny, he has to call a supervisor to come and be present during the interaction because of the restraining order, or protection order, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
On the day that he died, he pulled over Lico Kenny and ignored that request.
So who died that day? Lico Kelly died that day?
No, Lico Kenny killed Bruce McKay because he began harassing him. And I think Lico Kenny basically priced it something like, hey, you can't be doing this. I got the protection order. McKay didn't care. So Lico Kenny, they were both in the wrong here. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to villainize McKay while making what's his name sound good, but he drives off. It turns into a high-speed chase. It's on video. You can look it up. Lico Kenny shot by Bruce McKay. They end up like crashing or whatever. Bruce runs over, hits him with the mace, and as he's walking away, you see a gun come out the window, pop, pop, pop off screen. That was the end of Bruce McKay.
See, I can sympathize with Lico a little bit, because I've had the same thing happen with an officer for me. An identical twin brother. He refused to believe I existed and followed me and my family for 3 months. And
you told him you had a twin. He didn't believe it.
He didn't believe me. He said I was an alias for my twin brother, and was following me outside of the city, following all my employees at the time. Went on for 3 months. Eventually, we had to get the departmental licensing, and the mayor of the town, his lawyer, was the lawyer representing me. So we got a bunch of people on there, and we got him to apologize for a misunderstanding, a 3-month misunderstanding. And
what did you do? Walk in with your twin? Like, ha!
No, he didn't care. He didn't care. We gave him birth certificates. He said that it was a lie. I was still, and here's the stupid thing. It all came down to, in the state I live in, because my twin and I have such similar names. If you put my name in, I come up under him no matter what.
Really?
So yeah, no matter what.
I would have done? I would have told him, "You're right. I was lying. I don't have a twin." Then I would have set up a scenario like Michael Myers, where everywhere you go, he pops up.
How could
he be here? He was just down the hall, huh?
This is one of those towns where tough love cops are really needed. So because I've been pulled over a bunch of times. They pull over anyone for anything because there was so much crime in that town. Every time they pulled me over, I was like, "Hey, what's up? I don't mind. I'll show you my ID. I know how bad this city is. Please."
Wow.
So
yeah, for sure.
It's just the first bad cop interaction I ever had.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I said Jill B's husband knows Bruce McKay. I think she said, yeah, her late husband. Sorry to hear about your husband, Jill. Sorry to interrupt you there. I thought you were trailing down. But wow, yeah, no, I'm going to look into everything. I definitely would like to find out who that partner was, and I would also like to find out who that guy is at the party. Those are 2 leads I would like to follow up. Everyone can tell me in the chat if you think that's a good idea, bad idea, whatever you would like. Okay, I'm gonna we'll keep you on, Falk, if you want to hang out for a little bit, but I'm gonna go over a couple more little news stories. We can get back into Maura in a little bit if you have anything to say, but since we're already at an hour, I want to make sure I kind of give a little bit for everyone here, because I kind of have fans of a lot of different cases on the channel. So what do you got, Grotto? Hit us with something.
It's kind of the perfect spin-off here, because we're talking about people who may or may not have been involved as, killers, and the things that they did their past that make them sound that way. One of the things I was looking up for this is actually grabbing it right now. I'm trying to get his first name because it's J. It's the Kellogg one. J.H. Kellogg.
J.H. My initials.
Yeah. But you didn't invent cereal.
But I eat a lot of it.
Yeah, do you eat a lot of that? Cornflakes?
I don't do a lot of that last word, which I'm not going to say on stream.
Oh.
How come you didn't mention that? The M word, and I don't mean
the worst personal sin, right?
Yeah. Pleasing yourself, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me
making personal deposit withdrawals. Not deposits.
Let's take a look at it. Okay, we got this is cool. I like StreamYard. Anyone who's interested in streaming, use StreamYard, because it's anyone who joined my horrible, grainy other live streams. Actually, I want to mention a few things now that
Can you click on the link though? So you're not just stuck in the other view.
I am. Oh, like this?
Yes.
So we have all new equipment, which is why you might notice the stream looks a heck of a lot better. It's not all grainy. That is thanks to Grotto helping out, as well as I don't know if he's probably in the channel, I don't know if he wants me to say his name, but a super great supporter who has helped through not super chats, but through PayPal quite a bit. If you are there, if you would like to take your bow in the chat, by all means do so. But I don't know if you want me putting that out there, whoever you are. So I'll hold off for now. But basically, thanks to those 2 people, we got an awesome new setup. We haven't finished setting it up. Give us a little time on that. But we got a new PC, got some lights, new camera, all kinds of stuff. So the channel's only going to be upgraded. I'm going to really try to move away from just little picture slideshows that I do, try to be on it more, stuff like that. So hopefully you guys will enjoy the new content. But let's take a look. So, and would you like to, can you drop the link in chat, Grotto?
For what?
We have for our podcast?
We can talk about that after these stories.
After the stories? Okay, I didn't know if you wanted to do it a few times so that we don't miss anyone. But
oh, you know what? You're right. So let me grab that.
We probably should have done this like twice by this point. So the Cold Country podcast.
So I didn't do it.
So if you enjoyed this channel, and a lot of you have been hanging out here for over an hour, so I'm hoping you do at least a little bit. I want to say I have a second channel. It's really Grotto's channel, but it's both of us. It's our podcast. It's called Cold Country Podcast. He will put the link in the chat. Go ahead and click it and subscribe. What's that?
Your Cold Country Podcast?
Correct.
Well, who was on Reddit last night then?
Reddit?
Yeah, somebody was advertising. I thought they were advertising that podcast.
No?
Well, you never know with Reddit. Maybe we got to look into that. What were they saying?
I mean, I put a video out last night.
On Reddit?
But if it was on Reddit, it'd have more views. So I'm not sure. I don't
was
think
or it wasn't on Reddit?
No,
I swear I thought that was the name of it. Someone went on a Reddit thread last night, and they just posted and asking if Bill would be on their podcast.
That was not.
So I commented to the person, what type, because they said something like, Bill, would you be on our podcast so that you can clear up a lot of issues that need clearing up or something? It was very vague. And so I said, what, that's a worthy goal. What issue if you had your top issue, what would that be to clear up? And they said,
the person posting the Cold Country Podcast mentioned Bill.
I thought it was Cold Country. I'll have to look.
I sure hope it was.
Actually, I think the comment was removed. It's interesting though. I thought
because I had someone you showed me him, Falk. He had used one of my thumbnails and was saying he was going to uncover people. So people have acted like me there. And I found another Jason Hebert once. I think it was an AMA was it Scott Wall or Bill? I don't know. I think it was Scott. So it was under one of the AMAs, and I see Jason Hebert responding, and I'm like, what? So I said, and is there a reason you're using my name? And he said, oh, I'm just messing around, dude. And he said something like, please delete that so I don't get in trouble or something. But I don't even know how to use Reddit. So I was like, whatever.
Hey, Jason, you need to mod me Cold Country so I can actually post links.
Hang on.
You don't do it there. You're going to have to do it from your phone while you're watching it. You have to go to live chat, click on me, and so you might want to get back. You might want to get back into.
You're there.
Thing, so you're not.
You're there. Okay. Yeah. Okay, guys. So let's read Kellogg. So were Kellogg's cornflakes created as anti-M-word morning meal, anti-pleasing morning meal? Numerous websites exaggerated the role of J.H. Kellogg's odd beliefs about sexual health and the creation of the breakfast cereal.
Yeah, it says false, but I think it's pretty true.
Interesting, right? Either way.
Yep.
Kellogg's cornflakes were originally created in an effort to discourage American consumers from pleasing themselves. So what's true? The creation of corn, it's mostly false. The creation of cornflakes was part of J.H. Kellogg's broader advocacy for a plain, bland diet. Without referring to cornflakes in particular, Kellogg elsewhere recommended a plain, bland diet as one of several methods to discourage pleasing.
Yeah.
What's false? According to the available evidence, cornflakes were primarily created as an easy-to-digest, pre-prepared and healthy breakfast food, in particular for patients at the Kellogg Sanitarium in Michigan. The product was never advertised as anti-pleasing yourself morning meal. That is funny that anyone would even think that.
Well, I mean, his book came out before the cereal, so he laid the groundwork for this cereal and then kind of made it his thing, right? The cereal itself. Didn't sleep with his wife in the same bed, had never consummated their marriage, didn't believe in any most physical relation with the opposite gender or same gender, any kind of romantic whatsoever. He was basically a monk. And that was the kind of life he led. He said you shouldn't eat pork, you shouldn't eat meat. It should just be like a clean, plain diet. And there's a lot of other crazy things. The dude basically
I feel like some cornflakes right now. To get my drift.
I mean, so my reason bringing up the case is the guy had weird patterns in his life. He could have totally been a serial killer. He was rich, he was affluent, always had great alibis. And didn't sleep in the same bed as his spouse or bedroom as his spouse. So if he wanted to come and go in the middle of the night and pick people up on the side of the road, he could have done it. No one would have known better.
Never slept in the bed? Same bed? Ever throughout their whole marriage?
Nope.
Serial killer.
Right.
That solves it for me. That settles it. Are you still there, folk?
Yeah, he sounds like a bit of a flake to me.
Get it?
Could you
I like
imagine like when Frosted Flakes came out? It probably must
Guys,
have been
can you
like
talk for a
something
minute?
that ruined his life.
I gotta go grab my dog and take him out to pee because he's otherwise you're gonna hear a yelp that gets progressively louder every 5 seconds. Let me just take him. Give me about 1 or 2 minutes.
Sure.
Falk and Grotto, can you guys kind of talk and keep this incredible chat interested?
Yeah, we will.
Thank you, sir.
We'll
And
talk
third-
cereal and serial killer.
Thankfully, he set the bar low, so we'll be okay.
What were you saying, Grotto?
I was saying, could you just imagine when Frosted Flakes came out? He must have thought his life's work got destroyed.
Yeah, that he got like bested.
Someone comes in, says, "But they're great," and he's like, "No, they're not. They're not great." The guy's like, "Yes, they are. All you need to do is put a little bit of liquid sugar on them. That's going to be the motto. They're great. We're going to get a tiger to do it."
Wait, so was he going for something that was not like? So he was going for basically plain and boring.
His whole motto was plain, boring diet. So he said that the cornflakes were delicious, sweet, and they're good for you no matter how much you eat. But basically, they were made as a way. He believed that diet and especially that bland food was an aphrodisiac, basically the opposite of an aphrodisiac. In his patent application for the cereal, he insisted that the flakes purported health benefits, well adapted for sick and convalescent people. So here is what he said about it. My invention relates to an improved alimentary product and to the process of making it. And the object of the improvement is to provide a food product which is in a proper condition to be readily digested without any preliminary cooking or heating operation, and which is highly nutritive and of an agreeable taste, thus affording a food product particularly well adapted for sick and convalescent persons. But it literally is like the food product of the diet that he tells people is what you should eat if you don't want to, make personal withdrawals.
How did he come to that conclusion?
I could read his book, but I'm not sure I want to do that to myself. I could tell you, but
did he? So he wrote an autobiography.
No, he wrote like a self-help book.
Okay.
Let me grab it. Like he has a whole chapter on cooking in it.
Was that his goal when he created the cornflakes, or was it like that he was eating cornflakes?
So his background, he was a medical doctor and a health reformer. So he was making food trends. Like he was trying to make food trends, like, the chia and all that kind of stuff nowadays. Think of that in the late 1900s, 1880s and all that. Seventh-day Adventist. And he just had really strict views on some things, especially the personal withdrawals. Let's see. His book was called Plain Facts for Old and Young, Embracing the Natural History and Hygiene of Organic Life. And he apparently had been reprinted and updated a bunch of times. So yeah, he was like a health guru, is really what it sounds like.
Did he eat strictly, like, were there periods where he would just eat cornflakes?
No.
Okay.
So here's kind of found his motto. His like rules to live by. Never overeat. Gluttony is fatal to chastity, and overeating will be certain to cause missions with other evils, whose organs are weakened by abuse. So he thought by eating good, our organs would be better at abstaining from evil things and only eat twice a day.
Since I left, fired. I'm just kidding. Keep going.
What?
So we lost 3 viewers since I left. You're both fired. I'm just kidding. Keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Didn't believe in eating stimulating food, so you couldn't use spices on your food: pepper, ginger, mustard, cinnamon. Basically, couldn't use any condiments at all. Couldn't have any drinks with sugar, and you can only eat plain food and bland drinks.
This is about the whole bland stuff. He was big on blandness, huh?
Jill's like, well, it does lead to blindness. So he was practicing preventative medicine.
Also, I will get better at looking at the chat, guys. I haven't been doing that a ton because I've been kind of nervously trying to figure out the format of this as we go. So I will be better at responding to you.
I like the Dying Atheists diet. Jalapenos and tequila. The first time I tried tequila, I got on a plane. I was in an airport in upstate Florida. Can't remember the town, Fort something. And I woke up in Vegas. So tequila.
Upstate Florida?
Yep.
Oh,
Or mid Florida, something. I know it was south of Jacksonville. I know that.
I lived in Florida for a year in Orlando. Actually, I was living in Orlando when Maura went missing. Actually, is where I lived. I'm from Boston.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, but I lived there from like August and September of 03 to like August of 04. I was living in Orlando, and I hated it. I absolutely did. Don't ever move to Florida. Anyone from the Boston area, everyone's like, we're going to move to Florida. Everyone does that. Everyone comes back.
What brought you to Florida?
So
He was young.
I was living at home at the time. Yeah, I was young. I was like 18 or 19 in 2003. And I just lost you guys in the stream.
No, you didn't. We're still here.
I can't see. The cameras are black for me.
That's because I made it black. Because I saw you staring at me.
Yeah, so we had some family stuff going on, and my mother kind of just wanted to get away. I don't want to get into too many details on that. But I was like 18, 19. We had recently, like a year or two before, taken a trip to Disney World or Land, whatever one's in Florida. We thought it was just like the most amazing place ever because we're in like the tourist section, you know? So she had bought the house. It was in Saugus, Massachusetts, right in Cliftondale Square. I lived there for 5. I'm from Malden, but I lived in Saugus for 5 years, like my high school years. And we bought the house for $199,000. She had 5 years later when she sold it, it was $399,000. And the reason we went to Florida is their house prices were like our old ones. So it was literally exact numbers, 199 to 399. So she made 200,000. And the houses in Florida we bought was 199. So she made like $200,000 in 5 years. But the problem was there was no jobs down there. We got stuck. We were miserable. It's hot and muggy, and we hated it. We hated it. But that's why family, you know. And then we ended up moving. Worst thing we ever did because we had paid off a mortgage. By the time we came back, we had blown through the $200,000 and we're right back in a mortgage. So the worst thing we ever did was move there.
Hey, it was something, you know, something you tried.
She always says, hey, we never had money to take a vacation. We got a year-long Florida vacation. That's how she rationalizes it.
I mean, at least you can say that you lived in that part of the country, you know?
Yeah.
And especially what, you know, Butch went to Florida.
Yep. Barbara was still down there when I was talking to her.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I found her. Was in Florida, and I also lived in Los Angeles area for a while. Anyone who knows my Hollywood stories knows that I lived in Los Angeles and in an hour and a half northeast in a crappy little desert community called Victorville, which I'm sure no one's heard.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, no one has.
I appreciate your mom's coping skills.
My mom is an awesome person. She's a tough girl. She had a tough life. She had a brother murdered. She had other issues in the family, and she's always been the rock of the family, as the woman tends to be. Most people, the woman's the rock, and we all us guys just kind of stumble on in with our stupid problems in lives, and they fix us.
So you're saying Victorville is over by Apple Valley.
Yeah, right next to it. So it's a mountain area. It's like a top of a mountain, and there are 4 cities. There's Victorville, which is like the center. Apple Valley is the nice part. Hesperia is the more like countryist part. Then Adelanto is the ghetto part. And
so I've driven through it before.
Everyone has on the way to Vegas. It's where you stop and get gas and then
No, I was coming from Washington down there. My buddy's uncle had died, and the funeral was like the next day. So him and I drove 16 hours. And I remember we thought Victorville was, or not Victorville, but Apple Valley. We thought that's where it was. So we stopped in the wrong town.
Really? You drove right by my house then, because when you get off the highway, the mall is right there. I was like 2 minutes from the mall. So you would have had to get off. You probably got off right on the 15.
Yeah, I just remembered Apple Valley. And when I went, I was like, why does that sound so familiar?
Do you remember? Do you remember Bear Valley? Is that probably the street you got off on? When I first moved out there, I'm like, do you
Bear
guys call
Valley?
it there if there's bears? Because I don't know what the heck's going
Bear
on.
Valley.
They
No, we
left.
were.
Is Jill B saying that her uncle is from Victorville? Or she just
Oh my God!
repeating
Well,
it?
her uncle owned a huge amount of. Yeah, that's funny.
Oh,
I lived
wow.
there when I worked for that telecommunication company. I did the first 2 years in Andover, Mass, and then I
Hey,
transferred out to Victorville. I
Dying
actually.
Atheist lived in Oahu for 6 months. I hope
Oh,
you
cool.
enjoyed that. I hated Oahu. I hated living there. I lived there for years.
I would love it.
You would hate it. You're white. You would hate it.
I don't care about that.
They care. That's the problem, not you.
I make friends easy, man. Even if people have their prejudices and stuff,
They don't care if you're
tend
nice.
to do that with me once they meet me because I'm like a whatever kind of guy. I get along with everyone, and I don't mean anyone any harm. And
There
I don't
are
know.
vicious people that doesn't matter what you say. Or I grew up there. I can tell you what it's like. There's a lot of gang violence there on Oahu. I guess it depends. The closer
How
you are
would
to
you
that.
think of when you think of Hawaii?
Oh, live near Waipahu. Live on the.
No, everywhere has their good and bad areas. I'm mostly kidding, but that's cool, Jill B. Yeah, I live. What part did he live? Did he live in? I lived in Adelanto. I lived in all over the place.
I'm reading what Jill said.
Mm.
He's originally from East Tennessee, but moved to CA and bought up almost the whole town of Victorville. He was a millionaire when he died.
Wow. He probably didn't still live there while he was a millionaire because no one lives in Victorville if you're a millionaire. I don't think it's not the best place.
It's always the case, Jill. She said, for the record, I got none of the money. So
All right,
that's
let's finish this up. Will, that's funny for Rick. I got none of the money. We're getting close to an hour and a half, and the people are kind of starting to drop off. So,
Well, I've got one more case if you want to talk about it, since we were talking about the sins of the flesh.
sure.
Got one more.
All right, we'll finish this up. One more case, and I'll say a final thank you because you guys have been incredible. And
We can do a cold country thing. I can talk about that a little.
yeah, well, we're going to definitely do that on the outro.
On the outro. All right, sent it to you in private chat.
I get it. Okay, boom. Oh, you guys don't.
I just read what you wrote.
What? Oh, I love you.
I love you.
Just a little reminder that I love you. I like to do that sometimes. All right. Priest accused of using church funds to pay for sex found dead in New Jersey home. Jeez. Literally. Jesus, literally. Okay. Reverend, I hate these stories. Peter McKelly in an advance file photo from 2000. Allegedly. I always say that word just to be safe, even when it's not necessary. A New York City priest who was accused by parishioners of embezzling nearly $1 million to pay for male workers service and buy a house in Ocean County has been found dead, his brother said on Saturday. The Reverend Peter McKelly, 57, who resigned in 2015 as pastor of St. Francis de Chantal Parish in Throgs Neck, apparently died at the single-story home he owned on Cornell Drive in Brick, city named Brick, I guess, according to police and his brother Joseph. The former Catholic priest's body was found by police in the home on Thursday, said his brother. The former Catholic priest's body was found by police in the home on Thursday, said his brother, adding that investigators notified him of the death. I don't know anything else. The police were supposed to call me back, but they never did, he told New Jersey Advance Media. McKelly was found deceased. This is a county medical examiner's case, so we're not commenting further on it at this time, a spokesman for Brick Township Police said in an email. Peter McKelly made headlines nearly 5 years ago when a lawsuit filed by a group of Bronx parishioners accused him of funneling church donations for personal use. Buying the house in Brick, so he bought the house with that funds. Wow, that's bold. Taking lavish vacations and paying for substances. The lawsuit charged that McKelly paid a male companion $1,000 for role-playing sessions that included acting out fantasies and a bunch of stuff I'm not going to say.
A whole bunch of stuff.
Let's put it this way, guys. He did a lot. So McKelly, who according to the lawsuit never earned a salary of more than $31,000, also used the money to assist with rent payments so the man could live in a Park Avenue apartment in Manhattan. Oh, he was living good, huh? All off other people's money. Must be nice, guys. Can't stand, I don't know if I want to say that word, people who steal. I don't know what I can and can't say, but we're trying to be advertiser friendly here.
He was taking advantage of everybody.
Yeah. The status of the 2015 lawsuit is unclear. Online records show the complaint, but no disposition. The Archdiocese of New York several years ago said it could not substantiate any of the allegations contained in the lawsuit. So I thought this story was going to be involving what they are usually accused of. So I'm glad about that, but still not good. I don't know why people do things like this. Okay. Hey, are you still there, Falk?
I am.
Do you have anything else you want to add just as far as any of the new developments or just in general? Do you want to make any kind of call outs to anyone in the community, any requests, anything like that related to Maura before we start to wind down here and kind of go into Grotto's podcast?
No, I just want to tell you to keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And congratulations on 1 year.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on and helping out with the stream. I think it's really going to help. Anytime you want to come on, we can talk about Maura or, any subjects. You could contact me. We'll spend like an hour beforehand kind of going over that day's show. And I think it helps to have at least 2, but 3's even better, people to bounce stuff off of. It can be tough sitting here and thinking of stuff to say for an hour and a half by yourself.
It would be.
Especially when you need a haircut this bad. People don't want to be looking at that. I'm
some clippers, buddy.
Of the what do you call it? The quarantine. But okay, well, thank you so much, Falk. I don't know if you want to drop off or you want to hang on for the next few minutes. We're going to wind down and kind of introduce Grotto's channel, which is our podcast together. But you're welcome to hang out for the remainder if you want. And I thank you for joining us for the 1 year anniversary. You're the man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's your call whether I'm leaving or not.
And if someone walks in the room and you got to hang up or something, then we'll understand. We'll just
okay.
Throw your laptop at them. We want to hear those last fleeting moments.
Will do. All right. Well, take care of them.
Thanks. All right. So why don't you go into explaining to these fine folks exactly what Cold Country Podcast is, how they can find it, and the 2 handsome gentlemen who happen to co-host it.
You want to bring us both up?
That would help.
And the that one. Just leave Falk there too, yeah. So, I guess what we'll call this is a bit of a... Gotta grab something real quick.
Okay. Throw that link in the chat. Everyone, if you are still here, no,
that's not what I'm doing now. Although I should.
I'd like you to click this link and subscribe to our podcast, mine and Grotto's. It won't take you away from this. So if you're saying, I'll do it after, you can do it now. You click it, it'll bring up another tab. Hit that button, and you'll be able to get more of us.
Yeah, this is a bit of a podcast sneak peek. That's what I meant to throw that sneak peek in there at the same time, but it wasn't going through for some reason.
Well, explain it to them. How do you conceptualize our podcast that we're starting probably next week or very shortly? What does it mean to you? Why did you start it? Give us your reasoning for it and what you hope to grow it into.
So, Cold Country Podcast initially started because I was working with Jason on the disappeared cases as well as some other things behind the scenes. I was like, I really like this true crime aspect. I like going into cases, but him and I look at things very differently. I like the people who are actually tracking down the killers, people who develop technologies in order to do it, advances in science, just those types of things. And one of the first videos on the channel was actually a video that I previously made on an old channel that I was working on. But we brought it over to Cold Country Podcast, and that's the Joseph Henry Loveless video, 100-year-old.
Did a great job on that, by the way.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite videos, and actually got the person from the Redgrave Research who solved the case reached out to me and thanked me for that video. So to me, it was one of the biggest reasons I got into doing this, and so I like covering unique old cases, new cases with just interesting twists, Jane Doe's, John Doe's, some of my favorite things to cover. But the Cold Country Podcast, Jason and I will have a podcast every week, but it'll also give both of us a way to develop other content as well. Exactly. So he won't be limited in the stuff that he does in his channel. He keeps it really focused. So it could be, me doing history about different serial killers from certain areas, top 10 lists, specific countries, laws that have been passed because of serial killers that may not make sense nowadays. Jason will have his own segments and we'll both work together on those. If it's going to be both of us, sometimes it might just be me. Sometimes it might just be him. Sometimes it'll be both of us.
Now the podcast will always be us. He means the separate videos.
Yeah. Because we're gonna have separate content on there. And another thing that I'm planning on doing personally is, aside from the weekly podcast, there's also going to be a weekly podcast where it's more jovial, a way for people in the community to connect with one another, but maybe not just focus on crime. It'll be crime related. So if it's, I don't want to give away too much, but I'm working on like games, and that's online games as well as like card games and stuff like that.
All
and there's
true crime themed.
Yeah, all true crime themed, either true crime themed or very closely related to it. So we're going to try to keep it as true crime as possible, but at the same time, for some aspects of some games, we don't want to glorify those types of actions. So we want to maybe pull out the reality side of it. So that's going to be more, satirical content, but it won't be like for the entire video or the entire segment. It'd just be, not for the entire video. It'd just be for like a bit is really all that would be. So it's just for those streams specifically, it's just to have a nice gaming stream where it's not like people playing video games or just watching people. It's Jason, myself, a few other people I know on YouTube. I'm slowly convincing my wife so we can actually have a female voice. Yeah. Yeah.
No
and
problem.
She's down for it. She loves true crime. So she's thumbs upping right now. So that's really what it is. I guarantee you, if you join that channel, I'm a very creative person. And when I look at things, I like to make things creative. So I can guarantee if you stop by, you're going to enjoy it.
And that's kind of, he had touched on this before. The reason that we feel like we work together so well is we think very differently, and especially when it comes to kind of getting the channel out there. Roy's very big on quality, whereas so he makes sure everything looks nice and fancy. People who watch my videos know that sometimes I focus on the effectiveness. I try to give you guys a quality story and things like that. So that's what's important to me. But since it's true crime, most people just used to looking at a picture of a podcast logo for the whole thing. So I don't focus too much on the visuals, but Grotto is big on making everything as quality as possible. So him and I are both good at different things. We probably, as well as we just think differently. So we're going to have a really good back and forths on subjects, everything really. But because we're both good at different things, like anybody, we probably both mess up more than we hit it right. But because we're working together and we both hit different things right, it's kind of chugging the train right along.
Well, and it's content. If we're doing things differently and butting heads and messing up, it adds to it.
Yeah.
When people have because what's the best type of content? Conflict, right? Exactly. So, and especially when it's between friends and we both like, I'm gonna get you. So when we know that you can mess up and I'll be like, hey, whatever, hey, dummy, and that kind of stuff. And it's one of the best things about it is him and I can be in a podcast together. I can call him out on something stupid. He knows I still love him. And I know that my turn might be right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So
what was the name of that podcast again? And where can they find it?
Oh, I'm not sure. What is it called? Control V. Old Country Podcast.
You got it in there? So click that link, guys, and sign up for it. You'll get more
cornflakes and put all that energy into content. I may do a video. You know what? I may do an entire video breaking down why I think he's funny, Mark.
All right, guys, that's basically it. We are, when it hits midnight tonight, we are in the first day of the second year. No, today would be the first day of the second year. I don't know, whatever. I'm not a mathematician, guys. I don't know how to add. So either way, we're starting the second year. Thanks to Grotto, the quality is going to shoot up and get better. We're only going to think of new ideas. He's going to be doing more videos on my channel. I'm going to be doing more videos on his channel, which is the Cold Country Podcast, the hottest new podcast about true crime on YouTube. So make sure to tune in. Thank you for supporting me over the 1 year.
More stuff.
3,000.
More stuff like that intro for the disappeared, the new one.
Exactly. 3,150 subscribers, and we're nearing 250,000 views. That's incredible. I didn't think that many people would ever give a crap about anything I have to say.
Without you taking off your clothes.
And we're only gonna get better. Thank you so much. I love you all. And you guys want to say goodbye to our viewers?
Annyeonghaseyo.
Falk? I hear him in the background. All right, I'm going to hit end broadcast. Thanks, guys. I love you. See
All right.
you next
Bye,
week
everyone.
for this, and I'll be doing videos
Oh,
throughout.
he's coming back. He's coming back.
Falk, say goodbye.
Say
To the
subscribe.
viewers.
Say subscribe to Cold Country. He says I will. Blink twice if you need help.
Watching all the Cold Country podcast videos.
All right.
All right.
We love you. We'll see you next week for the for this podcast as well as the Crow Country, and I will probably see you tomorrow or the next day with a new documentary style video that you guys are already used to. Love you. See you soon.